me over all the earthbound things, and like a bird my heart is flying free. I'm soaring on the song your spirit brings, O Lord, in me. You let me see a vision of your majesty. You lift me up, you carry me on your spirit wings. Good morning and welcome to Unity of Walnut Creek. Please remain seated and join us in our opening song, Faith.
Good morning. Good morning. Bright, shining faces, a happy sight here first thing on Sunday morning. And the luck of the Irish to all of you. I hope you're wearing your green. I wear mine every day. Please join me in turning to the camera and welcoming the folks who are joining us from home. Good morning. We're happy to have you with us. My name is Susan Galvin. In the past, I've been assistant minister here at Unity of Walnut Creek, and I'm happy to be here with you today to open our service. If you are new to our services, we want to offer you a very special and warm welcome. Unity, we are a positive path for spiritual living. And what that means to us is that we celebrate the spiritual being that you are. It is our sincere desire to empower spiritual growth in each and every one of us through the teaching of universal spiritual principles and by modeling the impact that has upon our own way of being in the world and with each other. We also here draw on all of the wisdom teachings of the world, the many spiritual paths and traditions. So don't be surprised if you hear references to all of the great teachings of the world. Salam alaikum. Is that in Irish? So I'd like to invite you this morning as we begin our service to take a moment and just bring your attention into your heart. Letting go of all the hustle and bustle of getting here this morning. Just find your way home to that center of being that lives in you and come into the peace of the present moment. And now I'll ask you to join me with our affirmative prayer as we attune and become present to the divine within us. There is only one presence and one power in the universe and in my life, the all-loving goodness of God. Take a breath. And again. There is only one presence and one power in the universe and in my life, the all-loving goodness of God. And one more time. There is only one presence and one power in the universe and in my life, the all-loving goodness of God. In our service today, we will be touching on the qualities required for joyful growth. I want to thank you to everyone who joined us this past week in our spiritual focus, Breathing Love. And now it's my pleasure to introduce our speaker today, Rita Marie Johnson. Would you stand up? Rita is a longtime friend of Unity of Walnut Creek. For those of you who don't know her, she created Be Peace, a practice that combines feeling peace with a path for speaking peace. Rita Marie is recognized as an international peacemaker who, among many other things, serves on the advisory board of the National Peace Academy of the USA and has served the United Nations University for Peace in Costa Rica. So thank you for joining us. We're looking forward to your offerings today. Today, our music gift is our Joyful Noise Choir. I just noticed, you're visually attuned to the banners. You guys look fabulous today, and you sound fabulous too. Thank you for being here.
And who's directing them?
Well, I do believe it's Nancy Dunavant and Pam Whit. Now please remain seated and join us in singing Breathe in Me, Breath of God.
Breathe in me, breath of God. Let's prepare for meditation now by getting comfortable in our chairs, letting the chair have your full body weight, just surrendering all that you are to this sacred moment. Friends, there's an old song that says, "Keeps me searching for a heart of gold." So now we're going to go down into those beautiful hearts where we know we can find that heart of gold. So I invite you to turn your attention now down into the heart. Down, down, into that beautiful heart we go. Just letting all our energy drop down. Down into the heart of God. And now breathing deeply and rhythmically down in the heart. Just allowing Spirit to breathe you. Letting that breath of God carry you into the heart of God. Carry you home. And now as we breathe into that heart of God, let's just allow our hearts to fill up, touching that glory, touching that divine love, connecting with that pure power, the power of goodness. And being immersed in the light. Just filling our hearts with that awareness of that one presence, the one power. And being at one now with the one. And as we fully, fully let go to that oneness, we dive even deeper into the heart of God, into that heart of gold, right within you, into that heart of gold that is radiating even stronger now, glowing with its golden light, radiating into every cell and organ of your body, radiating out into the room, so that all these hearts of gold in our community here merge into one. Beautiful, beating, filled with life, heart of gold. And as we connect and beat with the rhythm of life in that heart of gold, let's just hold that awareness that we are moving together as one, moving with the rhythm of life, beating like a heart of gold that encompasses our world, encompasses our universe. Let's just be that heart of gold now in the silence. And as we come out of the silence now, we know that we are truly connected. Connected to ourselves, connected to each other, all connected within one heart of gold. I invite you then to open your eyes when you're ready and to just connect around the room, just noticing the hearts of gold that are all around you.
loud, joyful noise. You sound amazing. And so tabernacleistic. Good morning, I'm Sion, and it is my pleasure to highlight upcoming events for you. Unity Spiritual Learning classes will begin in 2 weeks. Our curriculum committee have designed a wide variety of classes for your spiritual growth. Please join Rita Marie Johnson, International Peacemaker, for her introduction to the Be Peace workshop this afternoon. Let there be peace on earth, and let it begin with me. Here's how you do it. Learn an amazing set of skills and knowledge that will change forever how you communicate. Next week should be pretty interesting and exciting. The men's group are providing breakfast and lunch, and we will have a set of tables set up for you to peruse and sign up for fulfilling volunteering opportunities. I know your bulletin says today, but it's actually next week. We will finish the day up with Reverend David and the Heart First Groups meeting. This meeting is open to everyone who have already chosen a group and for those who are interested in joining a group. For details of these, see your bulletin or our website. Thank you. I now invite you to take a brief moment until the gong sounds to greet those in your immediate vicinity. Thank you.
His praise to the amazing, amazing grace. Amazing, amazing grace. Amazing, amazing grace. Woo! That's right. Woo! Wow.
And they're all volunteers.
Yeah. Hey. Yay. Wow. I am so high right now on the spirit in this church. And this music, for one thing. But also, I've just noticed every person that I have talked to this morning has looked me right in the eye, has spoken to me as if I really matter, and has just helped me to feel so at home and connected. And so what I get from all of you, which I get every time I'm here, that I think my awareness of it is heightened because I'm also in audiences that are disconnected, not connected to their hearts, that I'm with people who are struggling to find their hearts. And when I'm in this heart energy in this community, I'm high. Yeah, that's just wonderful. So I'm grateful. Reverend David has invited me to be here once again. You know, he's actually the greatest supporter of my work in the Unity Movement. Are you aware of that? What a tremendous support this man has been. So let's give him a hand. Yeah. I just love that man. All right, so I'd like to begin with you this morning with a question. On your spiritual paths, have you at times felt like you were stuck? Anybody? Can I see a show of hands on that one? All right, so I'm just guessing that during those moments when you were stuck, maybe you noticed some old irrational reactions come up, some behaviors you weren't proud of, or maybe you were just floundering and feeling like you somehow weren't following your heart, or maybe you just got bored. Anybody ever just get bored on the spiritual path sometimes? All right, so I imagine we've all been there at one time or another. I certainly have. And I know as I looked back at my life at one time and saw how I'd get stuck for long periods of time, I really longed for a way to grow that would be more consistent, a way to grow that would really help me to feel fully alive every day, a way that would be both reliable and inspiring, so that I could really embrace life and feel like I was moving in my spiritual growth every day. So I looked for many years. I experimented like I'm sure you have. How many of you are great spiritual adventurers? Yeah. Yeah, so on my path, I found a method. I found a method that keeps me connected to myself, connected to others, and connected to Spirit. And in finding that way to stay connected, I found that my personal growth was accelerated and consistent, that I could grow consistently and at a, I would say rapid pace, but let's just say that it moves me along in a way that causes me to feel fully alive. fully alive. So I'm going to be sharing about that method today. I've been teaching that for about 10 years. And it's a method that takes advantage of a powerful partnership that's available to every human being. Every human being. So the first partner in that partnership is empathy. So let's go to the next slide there. This is Marshall Rosenberg, who developed nonviolent communication. How many of you know something about nonviolent communication? Right. So you know that Marshall is a master of empathy. And he defines empathy as a respectful understanding of what others are experiencing. Now, Marshall discovered that when we name our own feelings and needs, that is a way of actually giving ourselves empathy. That we listen with our whole hearts to ourselves when we get in touch with those feelings and the needs underneath those feelings. So that's the way to self-empathy, and Marshall also taught us that respectfully guessing the feelings and needs of another helps us to truly put ourselves in their shoes so that we experience empathy for the other and our hearts open with compassion. So as I learned from Marshall, I began to practice that in my life. And one day, I had just landed in Miami, and I was starting to get my stuff together and get into the aisle, you know, to get off the plane. And suddenly, this young man from behind comes like fighting through, just barreling through, clawing at people like this, you know. And, well, I mean, I've had times when I needed to make a flight, and I was scared I wasn't going to make it. You had that situation? Yeah. So I was guessing that that's what was going on with him. He probably was about to miss his flight, and it was important, and he needed to get out of the plane. So, you know, I could have some empathy for him, but at the same time, I noticed I was a little triggered by this behavior. So I decided to give myself empathy. I had time, because you know what it's like waiting in the aisle, right? You're standing there. Okay, so let's just check in here. So I'm feeling kind of annoyed and a little irritated because I value respect and communication. So, you know, the moment that I named those feelings and needs, the charge just started melting away, and I was able to get back to my heart. There's actually a scientific reason for that, or a biological reason, that naming our feelings reduces the charge. So now I was feeling better, and by God, I ended up next to this young man in the long customs lane. You know, that line that takes forever to get through in Miami. And so, you know, I was in my heart by this time, and I noticed he was standing right there beside me, so I decided to try guessing his feelings and needs. I imagined that if he was that stressed, he probably needed some empathy. So I said, "Are you feeling stressed because you need to get somewhere fast?" And he looked at me and kind of went, you know, kind of dropped his jaw, and he said, "You know, I'm sorry, I've been so rude." He said, "My wife is about to have our baby any minute, and I just can't control myself. I just have to get home faster." Well, you know, it's like, okay. So then, you know, we had time in the long line, so we just sat there, or not sat there, but stood there and talked and connected. And so then, when we parted, he said, "You know, you remind me so much of my mother." And so anyway, I was so glad in that moment that I hadn't settled for being annoyed. That's how empathy enriches our lives. And so for anything that's coming at us in life, empathy helps us to stay connected to what's going on here and connect to the other person so that then we can make life-affirming choices that move us forward in life. So now let's go to partner number 2 in this great partnership, insight. I know that Reverend David has been teaching all of you about heart math and coherence and freeze frame. Is that right? Is there anyone here today that doesn't know about coherence? Just so that okay, I thought I knew who I was talking to. All right, so with coherence, as you know, that Reverend David has taught you, that we are able to tap our best intelligence. We are able to move out of confusion, go into our hearts, and get an answer. I call it insight when I travel all over and teach people about this. And I also consider it answered prayer. For me, that's what it is. When I go into my heart, get coherent, I have a question, something that's alive in me, and an answer comes, boom. I get an insight, an answered prayer. So, in terms of insight, I'm sure that many of you have had remarkable things come through when you've been coherent. Is that right? How many of you have had some incredible answers come through when you've been coherent? All right. So I want to share one from my life, and that is that I had a horrible health challenge that caused my left nostril to be blocked. I couldn't breathe out of it for about a year. And I really struggled. I went to different doctors trying to get help, and they'd help me temporarily, and then I'd have it back again. And then I looked on the internet for all the home remedies I could find. And I tried them all, and nothing was working. So I finally realized I hadn't really asked for an insight. I hadn't really asked for, like, give me some clarity on what's going on here. So I did. Went down into my heart, breathing through my heart, feeling appreciation, and then listening. Listening for an insight. And suddenly, the most unusual insight I think I've ever had came to me, because my inner voice, spirit, said, stand on your head. Stand on your head. I thought, well, I haven't stood on my head for about 40 years. But if Spirit believes I can do it, I can do it. So I went over and got down on my hands and threw my legs up against the wall and stood on my head for as long as I could tolerate. And when I got up, I was starting to breathe a little through there. And I said, well, I'm going to try this again. So I got down and could tolerate a little more, and pretty soon, after several times of standing on my head, I could breathe out of the left side of my nose. So that's what insights can do for us, answered prayer. And yet there's a whole spectrum, isn't there? It's not always that dramatic. Sometimes it's just a subtle shift of feeling from being in negative feelings to being in a more positive state of mind. Other times it can actually come through with our life purpose. You know, I got my life purpose during a moment of coherence. So insights are really the pizzazz, to me, of the spiritual life. The things where when I get a practical answer like that and it works, I feel so loved, don't you? I just feel so loved. So back in 2003, it dawned on me that if insights cause me to make life-affirming choices that move me forward in life, and empathy causes me to make life-affirming choices that move me forward in life, what in the heck would happen if I put them together? If I partnered empathy and insight, what might happen if I use both of them on issues in my life? And so I decided to try that, and I tried it first in a counseling session with a young woman named Allison. She's told me I could share her story. Allison came to me because she'd been recently divorced, and she was starting to date, and she wasn't sure when to say yes and when to say no to sex on her dates. She was very confused about it. And so we went through her feelings and needs. I just guessed her feelings and needs around that, and then we moved into coherence, and then she had an insight. Oh, she says, that's so clear now. She says, but I'm still confused a little bit about this part. I said, okay, well, let's go into your feelings and needs around that question. What's up for you around that? So we delved into those feelings and needs. Then we went into coherence. She got another insight. And by the time that young woman walked out of my office, she was confident. She knew how to take care of herself, how to have self-dignity and self-respect, and also connect with another person on her date. So it worked so well, I've used it ever since. And so over time, what I discovered is that empathy and insight are like soulmates. They really belong together. As it says on your slide there, insight needs empathy to keep it humble. Have you ever known anybody that's like, I'm psychic? I know. Or maybe even you found a little bit of that in yourself. I know that I know. It can be arrogant. And it needs empathy to keep it humble. And on the other hand, empathy needs insight to lift it out of misery. You know that when we have empathy, we can go so far into our own pain or other people's pain that we can get lost there. Instead of just having feelings and needs, we become feelings and needs. And so we dip into misery. And so empathy needs insight to lift it out of misery. And so when we combine these two, the synergy between them accelerates our growth. We can resolve issues so efficiently and so juicily. I don't know that that's a word, but for me it's so delicious to resolve issues this way because I feel loved, I feel empowered, and I'm moving forward. I don't have to stay stuck 10 years anymore. I might stay stuck for an hour. I might stay stuck for 10 minutes. I might not stay stuck at all. So that's the glory of putting these two together. So I taught this for several years, and then one day I was in my own prayer time, and it dawned on me that Myrtle, our founder of Unity, who healed herself from tuberculosis with affirmative prayer, that Myrtle knew something that was intuitive, I believe. She wouldn't have been able to articulate it at that time. She didn't have the science that you all have learned from HeartMath. But something in her knew this because here's what Myrtle did in her prayer time. Did you know that Myrtle used to use a picture of Jesus as a point of focus in her prayers? So she would talk to this picture of Jesus as a point of focus. And Myrtle, at this stage, got stuck. Just like you and me, Myrtle was stuck. She was not healing. She wasn't getting better, and she didn't know why. She'd explored every aspect of her consciousness, and she didn't know why she was stuck. So she's talking to her picture of Jesus, and in her book, How to Let God Help You, she's saying, that she's frustrated, that she's really wanting this total healing, and that she's looked through all of her faults, every fault that she has, she's explored it to see if that's what's getting in her way. And she's just needing some clarity here and some healing. So what is Myrtle doing when she's talking to Jesus? She's pouring out her feelings and her needs. She's giving herself empathy, is she not? All right, so she's doing the empathy part, getting some self-empathy. And with Jesus listening, I'm imagining that she's feeling an empathetic connection there. Now, what was Myrtle's routine? Myrtle, we know, blessed and appreciated every cell and organ of her body, right? Now, what happens, friends? You all know this. What happens when we move into appreciation? We move into coherence, don't we? So what was Myrtle doing? In blessing and appreciating her body, she was becoming coherent. And then, guess what? She had an insight, or what we could also call answered prayer. What came to Myrtle in that moment of appreciation were the words, "Look among your virtues. Look among your virtues." Now I'm going to read what Myrtle said about that. This is from How to Let God Help You. When she got those words from Spirit, she wrote this: I thought that strange, but soon it came to me that I had tried to keep my feelings to myself, taking great pride in the fact I never let anyone know just how I felt when anything displeased me or hurt me. Now, I determined to handle all that came to me before I swallowed it and allowed it to weaken me. As I gained real poise and the ability to keep my thoughts and feelings truly free, I was healed. So, Myrtle had used the powerful partnership of empathy and insight, hadn't she? She'd gotten to empathy, she went to coherence, she got her insight, her answered prayer. And she applied it, and she healed. Now, Jesus also had a deep understanding of this powerful partnership of empathy and insight. You remember the story of Lazarus? About Jesus raising Lazarus? I'm going to share a little bit about that story with you. This is from John 11. So it says in the Bible that Mary was crying because Lazarus was dead. And at the sight of her tears, Jesus said, in great distress, with a sigh that came straight from the heart, "Where have you put him?" They said, "Lord, come and see." And then it says, Jesus wept. Jesus wept. He had empathy for the people who were there, who were in deep, deep mourning for Lazarus. And yet, Jesus had an insight. Jesus said, I understand this is the appearance, but you're sad. He wept. He had empathy for the people who were mourning. And yet he said, but I know that this has happened so that the glory of God can be demonstrated. That's what he told everybody. I see it differently. I have an insight. I see this as an opportunity to show the glory of God. And he expressed that to everyone around him. And then he raised Lazarus. He said, Lazarus, come out. And Lazarus came out. You can see Jesus modeling empathy and insight throughout the New Testament. He was a master at combining these two in a way that moved people's lives forward, that accelerated their growth. Now, most of the time when we partner empathy and insight, it's not as dramatic as raising someone from the dead. And yet, when we use empathy and insight, every time we do, there's a little resurrection going on. Let me share one that happened in my life. I was having meetings with a man who was very significant in forging a new kind of partnership between my foundation and his organization. And in my meetings with this man, it was very difficult. He would go on and on about things that were way off track, but he also would be very reactive, and he would tend to blame and belittle me if anything appeared that he wasn't comfortable with. And suddenly there was blame and this sort of energy of put down. And so I didn't want to experience that anymore. And so I was about to have another meeting with him, and I thought, I better put the full power of empathy and insight together, which is also called the B-Peace practice. We also call it the connection practice in schools, universities, and businesses, B-Peace in churches, and connection practice in the secular world. So I thought, I need to do my B-Peace practice before I go to this meeting with this man. And so I did. I sat down and I named my feelings and my needs. I was feeling worried, nervous, uncertain, because I needed trust and clarity and progress. And then I guessed his feelings and his needs. And I guessed that he was also feeling worried. and that he might be feeling suspicious. No real reason from my side, but that I just had the feeling he was suspicious and that he was worried. And so after guessing his feelings and needs, then, now the charge is kind of taken off of this. I'm connected now to me. Now I've really opened up to what he's feeling and needing. And then I go into coherence, and an insight comes. And the insight said, less is more. Less is more. Now, sometimes you have to interpret these things. So I said, well, what does that mean? Less is more. Why is that coming to me? Well, I wasn't sure, but I decided to look at what I was going to say and get it down to very few words and get my request very clear and very short. Only ask for what I needed right now. So I went to him and we began talking, and he did talk and talk, but I knew that this man needed to matter, that he needed security, that he needed to feel at ease. And so in giving him empathy, he began to relax, began to be a little more focused, and then finally I came with my request. And it was like this much, but it was important. So I asked for that, and he says, oh, no problem. And how about this? And we can do this for you, and we can do that. And I'm going, all right, all right. So it changed the whole nature of the relationship in this very, very important partnership that we were forging together, our two organizations. And so once again, this powerful partnership moved me forward, got out of stuck, moved us forward. So friends, this is something available to every one of you. Every one of you can do this. And Jesus not only embodied the partnership of empathy and insight, but he also taught it. Let's look at these words. Next slide. In the Bible, in Mark, there's a scribe who says to Jesus, what is the greatest commandment? Well, I never cared too much for the word commandment. So I want to reinterpret that word, because I think what that scribe was really wanting to know is what is the way that causes us to function the very best? What is the greatest thing we need to know about how to function as human beings? And so Jesus answered, saying, love God with all your heart, soul, and mind. Now, when we practice coherence and we fill our hearts with appreciation, we connect to God in our hearts, and then we get these answers. To me, there's many ways to love God, but when I'm doing that, that is really loving God with my heart, soul, and mind. That's what I'm doing when I'm doing that. And so, Jesus also said, the second commandment, or the second way to function at our best as human beings, is to love your neighbor as yourself. Well, when we are guessing the feelings and needs of another person, isn't that what we're doing? When we're really actively putting ourselves in another person's shoes, aren't we loving our neighbor as ourself? Those universal needs connect us in the human experience. That is what we experience as human beings, is continually having feelings and needs bubbling up inside us. So when we're able to guess and connect with another human being that way, we're loving our neighbor as ourselves. So Jesus said there is no greater commandments than this. This is it. This is the essence of what it takes to function beautifully as a human being and be able to move forward in life, to evolve, to grow in a conscious, consistent way. So friends, Jesus knew that truth, didn't he? He knew that we had these wonderful qualities within us, and if we could access them, that this is how we can grow in a joyful way. This is a way to grow with grace instead of so much suffering. In Costa Rica, we have taught this methodology, this partnership of empathy and insight that's called Be Peace, or we call it Ser Paz in Spanish. We've taught this now for over 10 years, and we've impacted about 40,000 students in Costa Rica. And now we're moving more into the United States, teaching it here as well. Actually, there's been more emphasis in the last 3 years here in the United States, although we still trained 860 teachers in Costa Rica last year. So now our program is located on the main campus of the United Nations University for Peace. And as a result of being there, I had the opportunity to get to know the new rector. He's from Chile. And in getting to know him, I asked him if he'd like for me to demonstrate the Be Peace practice that I teach at the University for Peace. So he's a very open-minded man, and he said, okay. And so he shared with me one of the problems he was having there at the university, and we went through his feelings and needs about that. Then we guessed the feelings and needs of the people that were involved in that situation, and then he went right with me into coherence, and by God, he got an insight that helped him now to move forward in his work at the University for Peace. And the new idea I'm about to share with you, some of the people that are closest to us have not yet heard this idea. So some of you that know me probably haven't heard this new vision, new part of our vision. But just recently I realized that because of my relationship with the rector there at UPeace, and because we're going to have a building there on the campus that's going to be all ours for our program, that we will teach leaders there. We already teach people from all over the world at the University for Peace, but we can bring world leaders to the University for Peace to come to an institute for diplomacy. And what is diplomacy, friends? Diplomacy is about peace. Diplomacy is about connection. Is it not? Can you imagine leaders learning to employ their own empathy and their own insight in moving our world forward, in achieving some greater global progress? Wouldn't that be something? Can you imagine it? Leaders leading from their hearts, knowing the how to. It's just a matter of knowing how. I didn't know how. It took me years to really get it, and I'm still learning. I still am not a master in every moment because I'm a human being. I'm not perfect, but I know I'm a whole lot better. And I'm a very different person than I was before I knew about this powerful partnership of empathy and insight. So because we have the how-to of those great commandments now, we can do this, can't we? Like I said, I felt it here today. We can embody it. That's what I felt. Eyes connecting, smiles, care. We can embody it. We can teach it. And every time we use that powerful partnership, we are resurrecting our world from unnecessary suffering. Just like I resurrected my relationship with that man that I was telling you about. We resurrected our relationship from suspicion and doubt to connection and trust. That's a resurrection. We can do it. We can resurrect those moments in life, to lift them up so that we can make life-enriching choices and move forward. We can do it in our own lives, and we can make global progress in this way. So shall we make it so, friends? Let's make it so. It is so. Yes. Thank you. Amen. late. Well, that's good.
Thank you, Rita Marie. It is apparent your workshop will be amazing. Right? Our heart ministers will be available following service for any prayer or celebrations or challenges. And you may have noticed them around in the sanctuary on the grounds praying with others. Our heart ministers are wearing the lavender stoles. We also invite you to place a prayer request on our website at any time. Thank you. I would like for you to now take a connection card from the seat pocket in front of you. We would like for everyone to fill this card out if you have any prayer requests, questions, or comments. And if you are new to Unity, we would like for you to fill the card out and visit us on the patio at the welcome table. We look forward to meeting you. I thank you in advance for checking the box to join us in our spiritual focus of the week. Our spiritual focus of the week this week is accessing our best quality for joyful growth. Thank you. Ushers will receive your cards with your offering toward the end of the music. It is now time for our prosperity celebration. For credit card donations, there are envelopes provided in the back of each chair. If you are joining us from home, please select the donate box on our Watch Live page. Thank you. One of the greatest truth teachings is the awareness that God is the source of all of our good. Every blessing that fills our life is an expression of the goodness and love of the divine. When we focus on God as being the source of our good, we open ourselves to receive ever-expanding abundance. I ask for you to please take your tithe or offering in your hand and be aware that God is the source of your good. Please repeat our affirmation with me. Together. Divine love through me blesses and multiplies all that I am, all that I have, all that I give, and all that I receive. Thank you, God.
Thank
Children, you are loved, special, and important. The light of God shines through you. Let's stand, join hands, and do our prayer of protection. The light of God surrounds us. The love of God enfolds us. The power of God protects us. And the presence of God watches over us. Wherever we are, God is, and all is well. Let's sing our peace song. So let your light shine and